Just as we can reverse addition using subtraction, we can reverse multiplication using the operation known as division. That is, if we want to ask the question, what times 7 equals 28? We can ask that question by asking, what is 28 divided by 7? Division asks us for a missing number in a multiplication sentence. How can we find out the answer to this question? The most obvious way is to think about what the multiplication is doing. Right? This is saying, how many times do I add 7 to itself to get 28? And one way we can find that out, well, the opposite of repeatedly adding in 7s is repeatedly taking out 7s. So we could say 28 minus 7 is 21. That's one copy. Take away another 7. We're going to have to borrow this time, right? 11 minus 7 is 4. That's 2 copies of 7. Minus another 7. Oh, well, that's 7. Take away another 7, and nothing's left. So, I can take away 7 from 28 4 times. So, how many times 7 is 28? Well, 4 times 7 is 28. And so 28 divided by 7 is 4. If it happens that you already know that 4 times 7 is 28 as a fact, well, 28 times 7 times 4. Well, 28 divided by 7 is 4. That's the same fact. Right? These two sentences express the same fact. We can also think of division as splitting up into groups. Still considering 28 divided by 7. Suppose we have 28 objects. Of course, 28 is an awful lot of objects. In order to draw that, we're going to draw 2 groups of 10 and then 8 more. So go ahead and take a moment to count those on your own if you don't believe me. We want to split these into groups of 7. So let's see. I'm going to take 7 here. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then 7 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 again. And then let's see, these 7 down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then, let's see, I think this is another 7, right? 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 7. We end up with 4 groups with 7 in each group. Notice, if instead of looking at the rows in this picture, we look at the columns, right, we can think of these as groups of 4, and there are 7 of them. So we can think of this question as asking, how many groups of 7? Or we can think of this question as asking, how many will there be per group if we make 7 groups? Now, there's a big problem with division. and that is it doesn't always work. That is, in the whole numbers. What? What am I talking about? Well, let's say I wanted to find out what is 30 divided by 9. That is, I wanted to answer the question, what do I need to multiply by 9 to get 30? Just like I did before, I can look at 30 objects. 30 objects. And I can count off a group of 9. This looks like a group of 9. So here's one group of 9. Right, count those up, that's 9. 2 groups of 9. 3 groups of 9. Oh. And look what's left. This is not enough for another group of 9, right? There's only 3 left. The problem is, there isn't any whole number that multiplying by 9 gives me 30, right? 3 times 9 is 27. That's too small, right? That's less than 30. But 4 times 9, that's 36. That's too big. There is a way that we can report this. We say we get 3 whole groups and 3 things left over. This first number is called the quotient. Right, that's how many whole groups there are. And the second number is called the remainder. And that's how many are left over. And this remainder thing is going to turn out to be useful. But what would happen if we went and did this division on a calculator? Here we have the big fancy TI calculator. You might be using a less complicated calculator at this point, which is totally fine. But we punch in 30 divided by 9. And what do we see? Right, we see our 3. Right, and then a decimal point, and then stuff that comes after the decimal point. So we see that 30 divided by 9, it's going to be 3 remainder something. How do we figure out the remainder? Right, this bit after the decimal point doesn't directly show us the remainder. But let's see if we can work out what it is. We're dividing 9 into 30. This is a long division bracket, which may look familiar. We would use this setup if we were going to do long division by hand. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the course, because it's going to guide us to do long division to more complicated objects. If you are comfortable doing long division by hand, go for it. But let's see how to understand this remainder. Right, we've got 3 full groups of 9. Right, that means we're using up 3 times 9 is 27 of our objects. We subtract 30 minus 27 is 3. This is our remainder. So 30 divided by 9. That's the 3 remainder 3 that we saw a moment ago. We can do this with larger numbers as well. All right, let's say we wanted 4,287 divided by 165. Again, we could do this long division by hand, but at the moment I just want to look at the remainder. 165 into 4,287. 4,287 divided by 165. is 25 with some stuff left over. How much stuff? Well, 25 groups of 165. That's 4,125. Subtract that off. 7 minus 5 is 2. 8 minus 2 is 6. 2 minus 1 is 1. We have 162 left over.